You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
Well, here we are again, you and I. I'm so happy because you know why? 70 degrees. I got all the windows open, got this fresh air coming in, got my cup of coffee, I'm ready to go. I only have one more tax return that I gotta finish and then I'm done for the whole tax season. And I'll finish that today. I hate doing taxes. I hate doing it, but I do it for people that I really like. I don't do very many. I could probably count them on two hands. Maybe even two fingers. But definitely two hands. In fact, that's what I want to talk about today is taxation. I want to talk about Joe Biden and his ability to lie like a pro. I don't know if he's lying or if he just doesn't know where he's at or what he's doing. Because definitely he does not know that he is the president of the United States. I don't think he knows that. I think he gets very confused about that. Because if he was president of the United States, he would be doing more for the United States. Not trying to create more taxes, not trying to create more red tape, not trying to open up the borders and let people pour in. I understand now he wants to close those gaps that are open there. I mean, we have a president who is not being a president. We're being a president who is being played by a whole bunch of political people in the White House. And this is where we stand at the moment. We have a president that is not a president. He's not making decisions. Because his decisions are changing every single day. Remember this, okay? He said that he was going to raise taxes, but it would not affect anybody below $1 million. Then that number went down to 500,000. Then it went down to 200,000. And now it's everybody. Because what he has done in this new transportation infrastructure bill that he wants to present, or he has presented to Congress, all those tax benefits that we got a few years ago that lowered our taxes, put more money into our bank accounts, he's going to eliminate them. So it's going to affect every single one of you. And so help me, if that Obama mandate comes back, I am going to be pissed off. Listen, every time that the president talks about a 28% tax rate for corporations, remember we were up in the 30s. Now we're down to 23 or 22, something like that. And now he wants to go back up to 28%. Every time he talks about a tax increase or taxing the American people, those corporations that are operating here in the United States have already begun looking to go offshore. They already have. I don't care what Biden says about the Treasury Secretary says about trying to tax people even though they move their companies. That is the worst thing that you could ever do to the American business system, is to threaten them by trying to improve their business and trying to improve the cash flow at the bottom line, because they've got stockholders to report to. So listen, the tax code is filled with angles that you can use to get around Biden. I'm telling you, it will happen. And those companies have already started moving offshore. They've already started. They're moving their capital offshore. They're moving their cash offshore so that the IRS can't get to it, or that Biden can't get to it, because he's a greedy son of a gun. But when you raise taxes, what does that do to the economy? Well, it increases the cost price of what we have to purchase our food for. Okay? It increases payroll taxes. It increases gas taxes. It increases a whole bunch of different tax items that we have to pay for. So cost of living goes up, and we call that inflation. Inflation is when everything goes up. Since January until March, since the Biden has taken the presidency, gas prices have increased 20%. That's a lot, okay, for the American people and for me, who has to go out there and buy our gas to get around. 20% is a big expense that eats into our pocketbook. And do you think Americans like that? No, we don't like that. And we don't like the threat, of Biden going to raise our taxes again, taking away our tax incentives. All those things that we got before are gone. So why, if you were a corporation and if you had to run your business and you knew that you were going to go from 20-some% up to 28%, and it could even be higher if Biden wanted to do that, do you think you would stay in the United States? Do you think you would sit here and just get socked with higher taxes on payroll taxes and minimum wage increases and everything else? Do you think that as a company that you would do that? No, you'd be looking offshore. Listen, there are a lot of people out there who are making a bundle of money helping companies move offshore. They are helping millionaires in the six-figure income and more moving offshore and getting different residencies. Why? Because they see the handwriting on the wall that Biden is going to destroy this economy. You keep talking, and I'm getting fed up with all of these individuals who say, oh, look what Biden did. He increased jobs by 900,000. Have you ever thought that states are opening up? Not because of Biden. Biden wants states to close down. They want you to remain in your house with double masks. No, it's because governors in states where they opened up, jobs are being created. People are going back to work. Businesses are opening up. Restaurants are opening up. The service industry is opening up. It isn't because of Biden. Biden had nothing to do with it. It had to do with those states who decided we are going to open up because we've got to rebuild our economy. So they did, and people went back to work and began creating new jobs and began creating new businesses. It isn't because of Biden. Biden did not do one single thing. In fact, what he's doing is threatening those jobs that just opened up. He's yelling at states like Texas and Florida and other states who have opened up and gotten those businesses back into working ability. And he wants to come along and tax them higher. After they've just went through a big pandemic of losing almost everything, now he wants to tax them higher. He wants to get them. He wants you to double mask. He wants you to keep those masks on. He wants you to stay inside. He doesn't want you to move. How stupid are we who listen to a president who is an idiot like that? Biden did not create one single one of those 900,000 jobs that went back to work because states opened up and people went back to work. Biden had nothing to do with that. If Biden would have had his way, those states would still be shut down. And he condemns them. He calls them names because they opened back up. We have a dumb president. We have a president who is listening to political operatives inside his White House, and he is not in control of the nation. He is not in control of the nation. I'll say it again. He is not in control of the nation, but other people are. People who should not be there. Most of those individuals that are on his team are from the Obama administration. I bet you even Obama comes in once in a while, gets a cup of coffee, and says, listen, Biden, this is how I want you to do it. I just have a feeling that's going on. Picks up the phone, probably even calls on the red phone, the hotline. Listen, Joe, we need to raise those taxes. You know what? Trump lowered those taxes and the American people were so happy. Let's raise them because we need more tax money. We need more money to spend. That is the whole operative of what's happening in Washington, D.C., is they want to create more revenue stream and more ways of spending money. They never talk about how much that they can cut in the expenses of the U.S. government. Instead, they keep increasing it and increasing it and increasing it. And we, the American people, have to pay for every single dime that the government wastes. Now, if you take a look at the gasoline tax is bringing in billions of dollars. But it is being stolen by Congress. It is being stolen from the Senate, just like our Social Security. They have borrowed from it so much now, I don't know where it stands. I have no idea where Social Security stands or how safe it is for me when I get to that age of retirement. By the way, I'll never retire because I don't believe in retirement. I believe in keep on going, keep on pushing, keep on fighting. I believe that this president has done so much to destroy our economy. Listen, I read a good article the other day on the gasoline prices and what Biden has done to shut down a lot of the production of oil. And that is why a lot of our gas prices have gone up that 20%. And it's going to go up more. It is going to go up more because they're going to hit that gasoline tax and it's going to go up again. Listen, they do the same thing in California. The gasoline tax that they collect in California, they just did a raise in the gasoline tax 2 years ago. And as soon as it became law, the Democrats within the Assembly and the Senate were already spending that money. Not on infrastructure, not on roads, not on bridges, not on any of that stuff. They were spending it on ways of providing insurance, health insurance for illegal aliens coming across the border. They were doing all kinds of different stupid things on using that money, not for the infrastructure of California. So we have the same thing in the federal government. They're copying the exact same plan. What is that there in that gas tax money that comes in, that gets funneled off to some other place. We have enough money coming in from the gas tax that it could pay for that if Congress would not steal from it. So listen, I'm going to tell this to you. Biden is lying to you, lying through his teeth. And he has now become a professional liar. Because every single one of us, from the corporations all the way down to us who are pushing brooms, are going to get taxed more. Do not believe what the Democrats say, and do not believe on what Biden says, because we are going to get taxed. I want you to look at that infrastructure bill. I want you to see where there's more taxes going up, there's more fees going up, there's all this other stuff that's going up, and taking away the tax incentives that we got from Trump. Those are all going away, and the taxes are going up, which means you and I are going to be faced with higher taxes if that infrastructure bill goes through. Now, Senator Mitchum, I forgot what his name is, independent, sides with the Democrats, but he is saying that President Biden's taxes are way too much. We are in the process as a country of rebuilding, and he wants to raise taxes when we're all hurting in our businesses. Does that make sense? No, it does not. What programs has he put out there to get the country rolling, to get companies enthused about the economy? Right now, we see a really good stock market. Remember, a stock market is short term, okay? Remember, stockbrokers are looking at how much money they can make that day. They don't care about the economy. Now, they'll put their money, if they think the economy is going to be a little shaky, they'll put their money some other place where it's safe. But they'll still make an upbeat feel about what the economy is doing. But I'm telling you, inflation is coming. Inflation is happening right now. Our economy, down here at our level, where we're pushing our brooms, the economy here is an inflationary period. And everything is going up. Food prices have gone up. Gasoline prices have gone up. Electricity has gone. Every single freaking thing has gone up. And the president wants to tax us more. So that means our taxes will go up. You and I, we are in a situation where we have a president who has no idea what he's doing. He does not have a single focused thought on how to make America better and stronger financially, or how to help the American people. Instead, what he wants to do, because that's all that they know, is to tax and to spend, and tax and to spend. Higher taxes, spending more. Higher taxes, spend more. That's all that they do, and that's where we're at today. So listen, we have the ability as Americans to make changes here, and that is to vote these idiots out. The other thing that we need to start focusing on is term limits. We cannot allow these people to be in power this long. We cannot. We need to have a balance, and we don't have a balance at the moment. We have just one single dominant party that is running Washington, D.C., and there are no other voices, because we have no voice. If you have a representative that you think is representing you, if I can talk today, then you are absolutely nuts, because they're not. They're representing their party. They're representing their power base and how much power that they can get as politicians. That's what they want. Everybody has an eye on the White House. Everybody there thinks that they can be president. Everybody thinks that they can be a leader by taxing and spend. They never think about, okay, where can we cut in our budgets here? We are spending $10 billion. Can we get it down to at least $7 for the next year? And then we can cut some more the next year. And how are we monitoring the man hours that are being used in our government? Because we have a lot of wasted man hours, a lot of overtime, tremendous amount of overtime. And their retirement packages are so good that when they leave, they make more money than what they are making when they're working. Now, we are out of control from the federal level all the way down to the state level. We've got to do better, Americans. Oh my gosh. Anyway, do not listen to the lies that Biden is telling you on taxes, because it's full of nonsense, full of caca. I wish I could say the S word, but I'm not going to say it, so I'll use the word caca. He has lied to you time after time after time on his economic plan. He does not have an economic plan. All that he has is a tax and spend plan, and that is not an economic plan. That is a plan for disaster. Because our debt goes up, inflation goes up, our taxes go up, companies leave, jobs get lost, companies go into automation because they don't want to pay such high wages. At some point in time, when you walk into any restaurant, you're not going to see any waitresses or any people there. You're going to see a chaos in kiosks. And that's the machine that's going to be taking your order and taking your money. We already have them here in South Florida. If you go to a McDonald's, you will see kiosks there. And slowly but surely, those individuals are going away that used to help you at the front table, at the front counter. They're going away. If you go to Target, the majority of the lines now there at Target are self-help places. You check yourself out. Self-checkout stands. If you go to all of these companies out there, they're all going to self-checkout plans. Walmart has self-checkout plans. In fact, they have more terminals there than they do having people that stand behind the counter and take your money. No, those people are going away. It's all self-checkout. South Carolina, small town of Pickens, Walmart there, mostly self-checkout. Because they want to get away from all of these individuals who cost them a lot of money. And now that the federal government wants to go up to this $15 an hour wage mandate, people are going to go away. Artificial intelligence will take their place. Human interaction is not going to be there anymore. You're going to be complaining. You can be complaining to a machine. I tell you, I was at Walmart in Pickens, South Carolina 2 years ago, and they had all self-checkout lines. They only had 2 lines open where they had an actual clerk helping the customers. The rest of it was all self-help, self-checkout. The problem is that they were trying to help and cut costs, and so the inventory that were on the shelves, sometimes you could walk in and you couldn't even find bread because they only brought in a minimum amount of people to stock the shelves. So companies are already looking at this already. How can I cut my costs? Because I cannot afford a $15 an hour wage. Because that $15 is not $15. It's $18. Because once you add on workers' compensation and you work on add on state disability and you add on federal taxes and state taxes, you're now right up to that $18 an hour. It's not $15. It's $18. After you add on all those expenses. So I know that a lot of you are thinking, gosh, we need that $15 an hour. If everybody had that $15, it's not, because you will never make that you will never make that $15 an hour, because you will be hit with taxes, so you'll be down to 13. Companies will have to pay 18 because they've got higher workers' compensation and disability and everything else that they've got to pay, because now your wages went up, so did their tax costs, and so did their other costs that go along with payroll. The biggest expense of any company is payroll. The biggest expense of any company is payroll. And when that cost goes up, it affects the whole company. And so then they begin to look at, okay, what do I do to help my bottom line? Remember, a lot of businesses are operating on a very thin profit margin. One uptick in an expense, and it can completely wipe out the profit margin. So we are being led at the moment by a government that is anti-business and pro-government and wants everything to be government-run, and that's not the American way. And you know it, and I know it. So you and I have got to do better when we choose these elected officials that are representing us, because if they're not representing us, then they should not be in office. If they're there to make the book deals and to get a power within a committee, and that's all that they care about, and that they're going to only support their party and not think about what is good for America, then they should not be in government. They should not be in office. Unfortunately, you put them there. Now take them out. You have the ability. You put them there. Now just take them out. Vote them out of office. The other thing I want to talk about today is, let's see, I'm now into 23 minutes of my podcast, so I'd like to try to keep it to 30, but let's talk about this boycotting. We are in a boycott war at the moment, okay? We have corporations who are flexing their political strength based on their financial strength, okay? You have a baseball league who they're so stupid. They said they're moving it because they felt that this was Georgia had created election laws that hurt the minorities, and what it did, it really enhanced them. But instead, what did they do? They did not like the voter identification. So what did they do? They moved the baseball game to Colorado, who has voter identification. So what did they accomplish? And by the way, Atlanta, 52% of the businesses there are minority-owned businesses. Compared to, I think, 10% in Colorado? So you see that companies and corporations are pushing a political agenda, and it's the wrong political agenda on America. You just hurt a lot of minority-owned businesses in Georgia. But they don't care because they want to make a political statement. When politics becomes more important than the community in which they're in, they should no longer be in business. The only way to make these people think is by hitting them at the pocketbook. And that means a boycott. That means that you and I have got to boycott these Coca-Colas and these Deltas and these all these companies that are becoming politically agenda-based companies, corporations. This is ridiculous to have a company dictating to a local government what they can and cannot do. That is not the role of business. The role of business is to create jobs, to create opportunity. If you have an issue with your taxes, or if you have an issue with bills that are coming up that's going to affect your business, then go ahead, corporations. You work on that. But you don't hit and you don't attack a community based on a voter identification law that you move your baseball game to a state that has voter identification laws. Your decision-making process makes no sense whatsoever. It's idiotic. So why would I do business with such a stupid company? Why would I do business with Coca-Cola? Why would I do business with Delta, who comes out and makes political statements, just spin based upon what the left is telling them? I want you to also take into consideration that when a CEO takes a political position, there are individuals within his company, like us, who are pushing the broom and everything else, that may not believe in what he believes. So what does that do? That creates a situation within the company where there is going to be disputes. It's creating conflict. Once you start bringing politics into a company, you are going to create conflict. Conflict costs a company a lot of money. Conflict also states that you're not running your company right. You chose to speak out politically, not taking into consideration what the rest of your employees may think or feel. Good example is that the Atlanta baseball team there came out against the MLB because they said that's wrong to do. The former commissioner of the MLB said, you're wrong. You don't dictate political stuff within a city. You are a sports outlet, an entertainment industry. So I hate to say this, but I think that if we have to create a boycott war, let's create it. I hate boycotts. I hate them more than anything. But sometimes you just have to bend your stance and say, okay, listen, the only way to hit back is through finances, through the money that they take in from you and I. Listen, it's up to you. If you want to boycott, boycott. But I'm not going to use these companies anymore who are going to take a political situation and harm a community. I will not do business with them. If they're willing to put their political agenda above the needs of the individual of a city who was hit hard by the pandemic, who was hit hard by riots, who was hit hard by Black Lives Matter destroying businesses within that city, and then the MLB decides, well, we don't agree with you politically, so we're going to move the game to a city who, by the way, has a voter identification rule. I'm not going to do business with dumb companies like that. So Coca-Cola, I'm really shocked at you because I have been studying you for a long time, and now what do? You act stupidly because you took politics, you made politics a priority of your company. Your political decision hurt a lot of people in Atlanta. Delta also. Delta Airlines did the same thing. So personally, I'm going to boycott. If you want to, maybe it's not even the boycott. It's just say I am not going to use a company that has a political agenda and who wants to cancel out other people based upon what they believe. This is a big world out there. We all have different beliefs, and we all have to get along. You do not try to cancel out. That is a bad political decision. Listen, if you like my podcast, and if you want to help me out, I'd greatly appreciate it. Go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. And if you have any business questions, send it to me. You can text it to me, 818-252-5682. Again, that's 818-252-5682. And I will answer. I promise I will answer them. Again, this is Mike Lodge. Everybody go out and have a great day. Let's do something good today. Let's fight back. Bye-bye. This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content. Talk with you soon. God bless.